Everybody. Welcome to the first week of the second 8-week course of the winter 26 semester for Wayne or Macomb Community College and for Intro to Sociology. And I will be your instructor for this 8-week class. My name is Michael Saba. I go by Mike typically. And I have been teaching now at Macomb for about 6 years. I have a PhD in sociology from Wayne State, and I did my undergrad at Wayne. I did my master's at a school called London School of Economics and Political Sciences. And I defended my dissertation about a year and a half ago now, December of 24, like right at the end of December, like right before Christmas, basically. It was on tax foreclosure and demolitions in the city of Detroit. And the title, I feel like, kind of tells it all. It's racialized dispossession or tax foreclosure, racialized dispossession, and belonging in post 2008 Detroit. So I was looking at the relationship between tax foreclosures, demolitions in the city of Detroit, how it related to race and the historic racial discrimination in the city of Detroit, particularly around housing covenants, all kinds of stuff. I think it's pretty interesting. If you are interested in reading it, you're able to write off Wayne State's website. If you go look at the dissertations list, you can go read it. There's a huge history section that I think most people that live in Metro Detroit are kind of familiar with some of the things that happened here, but may not be totally familiar with all the stuff that happened. So anyway, if that's something anybody would ever want to talk about, I'm always happy to have that conversation. So for this class, I'm going to try to keep this short. I say that every time I record these videos, but I never do. So it's probably be about 15 minutes in length. And I'm going to go over the syllabus real quick, a little bit of the structure of the class. Like I said, this is an 8-week course. I've taught this course a bazillion times at this point. So I know the material inside out, upside down, every which way possible. We have a free online textbook from OpenStax. You may have used them in some of your other courses. It's not the most up-to-date thing in the world. I think the last update to it was like 2014, something like that. But a lot of this stuff has not changed. You won't see any references to like present. I just finished teaching social problems, and I'm using a much more like the last edition of the course or last edition of the textbook for that course was like this year. Like they just put out a new edition this year, and then the edition before that was in like 24 or something like that. So it's very current. It talks about President Trump, a lot of the new challenges that have arisen out of the recent political environment. But at the end of the day, these issues are not like this is not reactionary. Like these are things that have been a problem for a very long time. If anything, you could make a very strong argument that the political class, whether it be the Trump administration, the Obama administration before them, the Biden administration, any of them, they're the reactionary ones that because they're trying to, put forward solutions that they can see for social problems that have been sort of mounting for a very long period of time. So this course is not just a social problems course, but like if you think of it as like nesting dolls, like social problems sort of sits within sociology. And this is a broad overview of sociology and the material that we cover in the sociological branch of the social sciences. So the point of this class is to kind of give you a broad overview of all the different topics that we talk about in sociology, not to necessarily focus on the social problems, but like talk about, say, gender, race, ethnicity, class, social structure, things that have sort of embedded social problems within them, but how do we think about gender and sex, biological sex versus gender in the social sciences? Like what does that generally look like, as opposed to like in the social problems class we just focused on discrimination and like discrimination along different sort of gender and sexuality lines and stuff like that. So, this course, like I said, so the material is all there on Canvas. I have everything loaded up. If you happen to log in this morning before like 11 o'clock, I would say I had the dates kind of messed up. I copied them over from when I taught this course last year. This time, actually, exactly last year. So the dates were set from last year. So I needed to update that. So everything is like all good to go now. The way that this structure, oh, I guess I can flip over to the um, syllabus. We kind of covered all this. The class runs through May. It's 8 weeks. Here's your OpenStax textbook. It's a 4 credit hour course. You need to log into the class, obviously, check your things. I also just want to make a very brief note on AI. This will kind of make sense a lot later. I really encourage you all to use AI. Adopt it, figure it out in your workflow. You need to learn how to use these tools, and you need to learn how to use them in a way that doesn't make you dumb, in a way that's not going to piss off your professors. That's really like my two rules is don't let AI make you dumb, and don't do it in a way that's going to piss off your professors. Use it to like help. You actually don't really need to use it for this course, I don't think, but I could see maybe if you were using it to like ask questions about specific like fact-based things and whatever to help you clean up your writing. There's two essays. I mean, they're short. They're 3 pages in length, but some people may not think that's short. For me, that somebody that wrote a 200-page dissertation, I think that's very short. But my perception may be a little bit skewed on that topic, so I acknowledge that. Um, I encourage you, please use these tools because whether you like it or not, they're here and you need to figure out how to use them and how to adopt them in a way that is going to kind of work in the rules of society that are going to be going forward. And I can guarantee you there's a lot of things that are sort of emerging around AI. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, so I teach part-time at Macomb. I also have a 9 to 5 job. I'm a data analyst at Lakeshore Legal Aid. It's some of you may be familiar. Legal Aid is we provide not it's a nonprofit, and we provide non-criminal legal services for poor people, elderly people, survivors of domestic violence. We do about half of the right to counsel work in the city of Detroit. So that is everybody that's going through eviction court, that's going through a landlord tenant case in the city of Detroit. You are guaranteed legal representation so that you don't just have to go up against these well represented landlords. And it's had a huge impact on people getting more time in their properties, negotiating better terms for evictions, and just all the positive things. So anyway, that's like my 9 to 5 job. I use ChatGPT a lot, and I work on AI projects. I'm implementing a few AI projects to like make life better for poor people and for survivors of domestic violence, human trafficking, all those kind of things. As much as one can by using technology tools. The argument is if we can deliver better services and get people justice in a more timely fashion, then that is a positive for all parties involved. So anyway, I encourage you, please think about how can you adopt AI tools in your work as a student going forward as a professional into whatever field you go into. But again, you need to make it. These are the kind of two overriding principles you need to follow. Don't let AI make you dumb, and don't piss off your professors, your coworkers, the people around you. And for me, and I think this is probably generally the rules you should follow is you need to still have your voice in your writing. Like use ChatGPT to kind of help you clean up your writing, help you do whatever. Get your writing started, put it through ChatGPT or get Gemini or whatever tool you're using to get your writing cleaned up. But you need to do your writing because I can spot it a mile away. And I don't need to use any checkers. I don't use any checkers. If I call you out for AI, it's because I read it and I'm like, this looks like it was written by AI. It's pretty obvious. And again, I have a PhD in sociology. You guys are undergrads at a community college. I know what PhD level writing for sociology looks like, and I know what undergrad community college level for sociology should look like. Don't play me. Like, I'm not stupid. I like to think I'm actually pretty smart. Like, I've invested a lot of my professional career in being kind of like professional smart guy by having a PhD and doing all of this other stuff. So don't play. Just please, just do your work. Use the tools, please. By all means, like learn them and figure out how to utilize them in your workflow, because you're going to need to. By the time you're out there in the job market, like everybody, one way or another, is going to have to confront AI systems and work with AI systems, and it behooves you to get ahead of that and to figure out how to work it into your like workflow in a way that's not pissing people off. And particularly, don't piss off your professors and don't piss off your bosses. Those are two people you should not make mad. Um, so anyway, that's like my 2 cents on that. I'm not actually going to report anybody, but these are things that I'm supposed to include in my syllabus. But please don't make me have that awkward conversation with you, because, like I said, I can spot it a mile away. I work with these tools every day. I know what AI writing looks like. I'm very familiar with what your writing should look like, so just don't mess around with me, okay? Um, this course is on kind of a very standard grading scale. Let me just kind of jump ahead. I encourage you to read through these things if you find that stuff interesting. Everything in this class is rubric based. So you know exactly, it's not arbitrary, is what I mean. So you'll see whatever I give you a grade for something, you'll see exactly why you got that grade. So there's a few different way that this class is assessed. Sorry, I'm having like really bad allergies this time of year with all the wind and blowing pollen around and stuff. So there's quizzes. There will be 13 quizzes through the class. There's no actual tests, which I hate tests, but I do feel a value in the quizzes. They're multiple choice, true, false. You can use anything available to you, but you have 45 minutes to take the exam. So you can't go like deep down a rabbit hole. Use ChatGPT if you're not super familiar with material. Keep ChatGPT right there next to you. However, you're going to run out of time if you put every single question into it. So you need to review the material, be prepared. I would suggest having the material open and maybe having ChatGPT open to ask questions as you're doing the quizzes, something like that. That totally, by all means, go for it. Um, every week, so yeah, that's one part of the assessments. So there's going to be two kind of big, like I mentioned, there's two sort of bigger essays that are each worth 50 points that are about 3 pages. I'm not going to go into it right now, but I'm going to tell you they are AI proof. Like they require you to talk about yourself, and there's just no way around it, because if you ask AI to do it, it's going to come out so weird, and I'm just going to be like, this is trash. Why did you even submit this? Obviously this is written by AI. So you have to write it yourself. And I love, one of my colleagues suggested these because they use it in their class. And I was like, that's just so perfect. And you'll see, I'm not going to go into details right now, but um, there is a couple of opportunities for extra credit this week. There is a syllabus review extra credit in there, and that is one thing. I have to manually grade those, so you're not going to see a grade right away or a mark or whatever right away. So I'll have to go in and manually grade those. Oh yeah, and then I didn't cover it. Each week there's oh yeah, I was way back here. So each week I have a not quiz question, and because I named it that because I have to enter them as a quiz into Canvas, but it's not a quiz, so it's not quiz questions. They're like 1 to 2 open-ended questions, and each week is going to be worth 10 points. I think there's only ever one question. There may be a week or two that I have 2 questions, but they're like asking you opinion. They're also kind of AI proof. They're not like direct knowledge based questions. They're like, if you were to give me a ChatGPT answer, it would look silly and stupid, because it would be like, generally speaking, people feel such and such way. Because I ask you, like, what is your opinion about X, Y, or Z? Because a lot of this stuff that we cover in this class kind of borders on opinion. But what I really want to encourage you is to think about the way that we research these topics. Like that's kind of the point I really want to drive home. It's like, have your opinions. I encourage you to have your opinions, and they may be different than mine, and that's totally fine. I just don't want to hear racist things or like bigoted things or whatever. Keep that to yourself. You can exist in the world. I don't want to hear it. Um, but if we're talking in a sociology class, I want to hear about research. I don't want to hear about, unless I specifically ask you like, what are your thoughts on this or that. You know, generally speaking, this is a class about research, and it's about sociological research, and we're going to cover that in all different sort of ways when the class is going on. So yeah, like I said, there's the extra credit opportunities, and then here's just like a big overview of the class and the way that it's all structured. So please go through, do the extra credit syllabus assignment. Let me know if you have any questions about that. Briefly, this week's material is just very broad overview kind of stuff, as you might imagine. Just introduction to the topic of sociology, and then introduction to our research methods that we use in sociology. Because again, these are not opinions. Like, again, you're entitled to your opinions. I want you to have your opinions. I definitely have my own very strong opinions about a lot of things. You could ask my wife that I have very strong opinions about just about every topic that may come up. However, this is a class about quantifiable research. Like, I don't want to hear things about I just kind of like lost it this morning. There's a big debate going on right now in Michigan. They're implementing these new stupid food stamp SNAP rules that are about poor people that are receiving food stamps can't buy pop, like they can't buy soft drinks and candy and things like that. And my family was on food stamps. I didn't even cover, like, my family we're Arab. My family all came. Happy Ramadan Kareem to everybody that's out there that's fasting. I know how hard it is. I'm not Muslim. My family's Christian, but all my friends that are fasting right now are really in the struggle. So I totally empathize with you. My family came here from Syria, and we were very poor when I was growing up, on food stamps, in government housing. There was never, ever, ever a discussion of let's use that precious food stamp money to buy candy. It's so condescending and insulting. And I'm sure if we looked at the data, I guarantee if you looked at the data of how are people spending their food stamp money, very few people, I'm sure there's a handful that are out there, but very few people, as a part of the population of the whole, are spending that money on candy or pop or whatever it is. And it's just one of these stupid things to just shoot from the hip. Like, you think of it, it may as well be true. I guarantee that is not supported by the evidence. And that's like kind of what I'm getting at here, is that I want you all to think about evidence, data, and how are these things quantified? Like, how do we think about poverty and the actions of poor people in relation to the actions of very wealthy people, and how do we prioritize different things in society? So for this week's class, this week one, there's this here material. I included these crash course videos. They're very helpful. You may have watched them in other classes too. They're kind of old at this point. I think they were mostly all recorded in 2018, but also they're sort of timeless. So I would really encourage you to watch them. The lady does talk very fast, so people have given me that feedback a lot. So anyway, I'm going to end this here. I think I'm at about 15 minutes or so. Let me know if you have any questions about anything. I'm really excited to teach this class again. Dive back in. I didn't teach this. For the last couple semesters. So now I'm here teaching intro again, and it's really fun. So let me know if y'all have any questions, and I will talk to y'all soon. Hope you're staying warm out there. See ya. Bye.